Hey guys, tonight's video we're actually doing a mental health recap. It's kind of my perspective on a borderline breakup. Kind of give you some of the thoughts that I've gotten from some of my research, some of my studies. I've had a lot of borderline girlfriends, so I know what I'm talking about when it comes to these type of relationships. But the first thing I wanted to recommend is if you're going through like a breakup with someone that's borderline, realize that it is a mental illness and to not take their behavior personally because a lot of times they can't help the behavior they're due because of the mental illness that's driving those behaviors. So, my last girlfriend, she actually fell into a psychosis and had to go to the hospital for a while, end up ruining our relationship. It really hurt me a lot because I really loved her a lot. I wanted to be her boyfriend. I wanted to be there for her, but it's just the mental illness got in the way. And I actually have my own mental illnesses. I have bipolar, PTSD, things like that. But I try not to let it affect my life. I do have a job. I do, try my best every day and stuff. So mental illness does not have to be stigmatized as something that's negative or bad because, like I said, I myself have bipolar 1 and PTSD, so I understand, mental health. And I spent a lot of years working in mental health. I spent 5 years, 5+ years working with adults that had various mental illnesses, including schizophrenia, bipolar, etc., etc. So, what I realized was I was desperately trying to change her, but I really just needed to focus on myself if I was ever going to truly help her. I was always, trying I was texting her saying, honey, you really need to take medication because of this, like the psychosis is really bad and the delusions are really bad. And she'd say, how dare you call me delusional? And it's like, I understand you don't want to challenge those type of delusions, but at the same time, when it's somebody that you love, then you're like, you don't want them to fall into psychosis because, they could be harmed or taken advantage of if they're in a psychosis. So I was just more or less trying to get her help, but what I need to do is turn that help around and do self care, help her by helping myself, and do try harder. Basically, like go to work, stay positive, work on myself, maybe start working out, go to the gym, go for walks, go for jogs, anything I can do to keep myself busy in a productive, healthy fashion. Limiting drug abuse, limiting alcohol abuse, closer to zero if possible, right? None of us want to do any drugs or drink. But if we have the goal of zero, then that we realize if we do make a mistake, we can get back up on that horse, that horse of sobriety. And that falling down, making a mistake is not the end road because you can get right back up on that horse, right? So I was desperately trying to change her, but I really needed to focus on myself. Accepting reality is hard. A lot of times we have in our own minds what we want the relationship to be, what we want the other woman to be. We want them to be a loving person to us and to help us as well. But if the thing of it is, if they're really in a psychosis or mental health issues, it's like at that point, often the mental illness just drives the behavior. Like if they're in an active psychosis, how can you reason with that? I mean, that's like talking to like a really seriously drunk person who's upset. You're not going to be able to necessarily de-escalate the situation. It's kind of up to the drunk person at that point, right? Um, it's important if you're going through like a breakup with somebody that has BPD, or if you have BPT, it's like a BPD relationship. That's what this video is about. But validating your feelings is real, and not trying to shun yourself. If you feel like crying, just allow yourself to cry. Because these are real feelings. Like you may actually have love for your partner who's suffering from borderline personality, who's fallen into a psychosis, and you don't know what to do as the former boyfriend or boyfriend. You just don't know what to do. So validating your feelings is real, is important. That way, we don't become toxic individuals by suppressing our emotions, right? So not taking their behavior personal is key. Understanding that people that suffer with borderline personality disorder have their behaviors often driven by the mental illness themselves. They could be in an active psychosis, which is brought on by stress. Really, what you want to do is just be the person's friend, be supportive to them, not necessarily trying to have a quote unquote relationship, because relationships can be really hard for individuals that have BPD, just because they've had so much chaos in their life that it's hard for them to trust and attach to others. So they have a tendency to not attach. So you may attach to this person, but in all reality, they have not attached to you. So it's just attachment issues is what you're dealing with. So you've got the double whammy. You've got attachment issues, and then you have a possible psychosis or multiple personality. It can be co-occurring. That's the thing with BPD, is it can be co-occurring. Like you can actually be a sociopath and have BPD at the same time. A lot of people don't realize that you can have co-occurring mental illnesses. Like in this case, my ex-girlfriend was showing symptoms of schizophrenia, and she was also showing signs of BPD. And again, I'm not a doctor, but I've done a lot of research on mental health, so I kind of know what I'm talking about. Realizing that the only person that we can truly fix is ourselves, and to stop trying to place blame. Stop trying to place blame on your partner. Stop, and at the same time, stop blaming yourself. Stop beating yourself up. You have to realize that the BPD partner you're dealing with isn't necessarily reacting to reality. They may be reacting to stimuli in their head, to delusions, to psychosis, to things that aren't even real, and placing blame on you. Like, for example, my ex-girlfriend would call me up on the phone or text me and tell me I was a fucking piece of shit because my grandfather was meeting with her at the Veterans Hospital, which never happened. It was an act of psychosis. She was actually having delusional hallucinations, that she was meeting with my grandfather, and she would take it out on me, sending me vicious messages about how my grandfather's a piece of shit and a bastard and stuff like that. And it literally was all psychosis. How can you win against that, guys? You can't win against a psychosis. And I would try to change her. Honey, please take meds. Please take meds for the psychosis. She'd come back with me, fuck you, don't you dare call me delusional. Don't you dare call me delusional. Fine. I guess we can't date. If you're not going to take the antipsychotics, then we can't even be in reality. I'm not going to be your partner, and, when we're not living in reality. Because if I'm not in a psychosis and you are, that's not fair to me as your partner. You know what I mean? Especially when you're accusing my family members of being part of your hallucinations and psychosis, and you refuse to take medication. So I've actually had to stop seeing this person, stop talking to this person, because they refuse to take antipsychotic medication. I can't win against somebody in an active psychosis. I have to protect myself from that person that's choosing not to medicate an active psychosis. So I have to be willing to set those boundaries as the former boyfriend. And I would recommend you do that too. If you're dealing with a girl that is emotionally abusive to you, I recommend you block the person. As hard as that is, you need to block the person, because you're setting a boundary of self-care. That it's not okay to verbally abuse me. It's not okay to send me nasty messages. If they're going to stay your friend, then they need to earn it, right? So you can't help someone that doesn't want help, period. I'll say it again. You can't help someone that doesn't want help. I had to tell myself this many, many times. The person that I was dating doesn't want, my input on medication. She doesn't want my input on mental health. She's not ready to process that. So I had to just deal with reality and hit myself upside the head and say, what I want to happen is not going to happen. So I've had to stop seeing this person, unfortunately. If I love her, I need to let her grow on her own. Stop trying to push help on her and let her heal herself on her own time. Medicate or accept her mental illnesses. And we also have to realize it's not always them. That we have things to work on as well. Like, for example, if you have a tendency to lose your temper, that's something you could work on. If you have a tendency to say things when you're mad that you really don't want, that you really don't mean to your partner, you can work on that. So do you see how you can make these small improvements that can, affect your future relationships? Just because this relationship hasn't worked out doesn't mean the next relationship you can't have a more positive communication, right? You get those seeds out, you're going to have a good garden, a good seeds of positivity with your partner. So no need to place blame on them or ourselves. Just let it be a blameless game. Just choose to move on, work on yourself, build yourself up. Go for a walk, go for a run, wheel yourself down the road if you're in a wheelchair. Just get out and just let the sun just fill you with hope. Let me fill you with hope. Let friends and family, let them reach out to you. If you don't have friends and family, then try to make some friends and family, right? Sometimes a neighbor can be just like a family member. Hey, Joe, come on over for coffee, man. You want to come over for coffee? Sure. Next thing you know, he's sitting next to me having a coffee. So, self love during this breakup time is very important. And also just letting go of that anger, letting go of the blame, letting go of the toxicity that was formed in that negative relationship. Letting it go, watching it float away like a balloon. Let that toxicity go. You see it floating away in the sky. And if we can do that, we can be at peace and we can live at peace. We may have to block the person out of our life. We may have to just take this time to work on ourselves. So rather than us wallowing in depression, getting upset about this breakup, what I recommend you do is just practice self-care, self-love, set up some boundaries. No, it's not okay for you to verbally abuse me. You could say a lot of times it's women that can be verbally abusive to their boyfriends. Abuse is abuse and it's not okay. We need to use those healthy coping skills. You know, if we feel like hitting someone, go for a walk. Because you wouldn't want to yourself be hit, so understand you don't want to hit somebody else. So just go for that walk and you're upset, and that keeps somebody from getting assaulted, you from getting in trouble, and you from losing your temper. So healthy coping skills, making a rule that for yourself that you won't engage in substance abuse, excessive substance abuse. Like, you don't need to drink a 6-rack. You could just have one. You could bring one beer home instead of having 6 if you want to have a drink. Or you could just say, I'm not going to drink. Like me, I've been trying to quit drinking. I haven't drank hardly at all within the last month or two because I'm really practicing that self-love of, hey, I get to work easier when I'm not drunk. Or, hey, I can, do a better job at work if I'm not drunk every night, puking. Like one time I went to work and puked in a trash can because I had too much to drink the night before. I don't want to be that guy that people look at and be like, you see that fucking guy over there puking? What the fuck is his issue? Like, I don't want to be that guy, right? So, learning those healthy coping skills. I'll hit a trail today. I'll go for a long walk today. I'll call a coworker up and say, hey, Jimmy, would you like to go out for coffee today? Showing yourself friendly, right? And just realizing no more blame game. I'm not going to blame my girlfriend. I'm not going to blame myself. Let's just part ways and wish each other success. Wish each other love. Wish each other peace. Forgive the other person. Let yourself be forgiven. Forgive yourself for the mistakes you made in the relationship. And realize the next relationship, you could change all that stuff that you did wrong in this relationship if you feel you've done something wrong. But be willing to forgive yourself for the mistakes that you made. Till next time, guys, thank you for tuning in to this mental health video on breakups with BPD and surviving BPD relationships. Till next time, it's your host, Steve the Great. Bye.